Hi, everyone. Welcome in. Thank you all for joining us today for Humanities at Play. My name is Kathleen Kuo, and I'm a program manager with Nevada Humanities, our state's council partner at the National Endowment for the Humanities. With Humanities at Play, our goal is to pair gameplay and other interactive activities with thoughtful discussions about the humanities and how they enrich our everyday lives. So throughout the end of 2024, Nevada Humanities is producing a series of Humanities at Play events that are a part of United We Stand Connecting Through Culture, which is a joint initiative of the National Endowment for the Humanities and the National Endowment for the Arts to leverage the arts and humanities to combat hate-motivated violence, deepen public understanding of, and contextualize community, state, and national history. So a couple quick notes before we get started. If you're a first-time Twitch user, welcome in. Thanks so much for taking the time to tune in with us today. If you'd like to chat with us and ask questions of our guest, I encourage you all to make a free account, and that way you can type in our chat and actively participate. And of course, if you aren't already following us here on Twitch, if you click that follow button, you'll get our notifications whenever we're live. Okay, Laura, it is so
Hi,
exciting to have you on our program today. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So for those of you, I know we have plenty of your ardent fans and supporters in our audience today. But for those of you who don't know her, Dr. Laura Crosswell is the director of the Center for Advanced Media Studies and associate professor of health communications at UNR. She holds a joint appointment between the Reynolds School of Journalism and the School of Medicine. Prior to joining the Reynolds School, she taught a variety of courses at the College of Charleston, Louisiana State University, and Arizona State University. You can find her latest work in scholarly journals such as Critical Public Health and Public Health Perspectives, as well as in her book, Politics, Propaganda, and Public Health. Her research focuses on the cultural implications of consumerism and persuasive texts, and she often uses advanced eye tracking technology to examine the physiological and psychosocial influences of media content. Her work specifically concentrates on the politicized and commercialized mechanisms of public health messaging. I think all of this is super exciting, Laura. I'm really, really looking forward to our conversation, later in our program and learn more about all of your research. So today, what we're going to do, for those of you who might be first-time guests, this is the typical format of Humanities at Play programs with games. We're going to play about an hour of Before Your Eyes, so from about 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific. So, and when I say play this game, really, it's kind of like we're just watching a movie together for an hour and we're chatting about it, just like we're friends. We are friends, Laura. We're friends now, I've decided.
Yeah.
And then we're going to find a good time to stop, take a 5-minute break. And then during that break, we encourage everyone to stand up, stretch, hydrate, and then we're going to reconvene for a one-on-one interview. And this is where we love to, have audience questions. Of course, you're welcome to send questions during the first part as well. But from 1 to 2 p.m. Pacific, that's when we're going to do our, just me and Laura on screen talking about her research. So, as I noted in her bio, Laura does really important research with eye tracking technology. And when I learned of this game that uses eye tracking technology and its storytelling, I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to have her on and join us and share more about her work. So, a little bit more about Before Your Eyes. It's an adventure game that was developed in 2021 by Goodbye World Games and published by Skybound Games. And so this game follows the story of the recently deceased Benjamin Bryn on his way to the afterlife. And we, as the player, as Benjamin, we interact with his memories through eye tracking. The game is going to read and respond to my eye movement and my blinks. So, you're welcome to, watch the game, but if you'll also watch my blinking, you could do that as well. So blinking is the main way of how we interact with the game. And that includes moving time forward in the game, in his life. And it's really interesting that the narrative structure of this game, it was inspired by the 1949 stage play Death of a Salesman, which portrays that story partly through the protagonist's memory. So I thought that was a really neat connection. So yeah, really excited. So we're going to, play about an hour. And by play again, we're going to watch about an hour of this interactive story, take a 5-minute break, and then reconvene for a one-on-one conversation and the Q&A with Laura. So again, please don't be shy about sharing your observations and comments. Any questions you might have for Laura today in the chat, you can ask her about her favorite food. You can ask her, her favorite books. You can ask her about her research. And I'm going to get the game started. Yeah, thank you so much for everyone who's joining us today. I'm really looking forward to this game and story. I can't wait. So, all right, I'm going to get it up on my end. While I pull this up, Laura, I'm curious. What is your experience with games? Totally okay if it's 0, but I'm just curious.
It's very minimal. When I was in middle school and high school, my friends and I would always play a little bit of like Donkey Kong or Mario Kart before we went to school. But other than that, and I've recently kind of entered the VR realm
Oh, very
and have
cool.
been to toying around that, but minimal. I'll go with that.
Okay, that is okay. We like people who are new to games. All right, so this game should be up. And let us know in the audience too if you think it's too quiet. We can change it. So on the bottom right, you can see me. You can see my webcam. So the game's going to register my eye movements. And then Laura is just here. It's not going to register Laura. I just put her webcam there so you can see her live reacts to the game. Okay. All right, Laura, we're gonna get started.
Perfect.
All right, so this game uses eye detection. We have our webcam here. So with our camera enabled, the game captures and tracks numerical data on my eye blinks to improve the experience. I think we're good to go. And I thought it was so interesting. So just a little bit of background. When I first shared this with you, because of your eye tracking technology, you said you don't use blinks, right? You use what do you use?
We don't. So in our lab, we have a small little device that connects to computers and it tracks your eye fixations,
Okay.
the durations of how long you're fixating on something, your pupil dilation, if you want to kind of get into the deep metrics of it, but it does not track blinks. So I was super interested in this game and how it was using eye tracking technology to play the game.
Yeah. Again, I'm so thrilled. I'm like super like geeking out about this. I am wearing glasses. Yes, I'm gonna ask you about that later. Okay, make sure my face is lit. My eyes are visible. I used to take. I was a psych student when I was an undergraduate, and I feel like I'm back taking tests for credit in my classes because we had to do that. Okay, I think we're good.
We also do that at the Reynolds School.
Okay, blinking. I think I got most of them. I'm gonna say it missed some because when I'm looking down at and I look up, it counts it as a blink. I'll try to be more deliberate. Oops. Well, that's fine. This is fine. Got them all.
Perfect.
Okay, here we go. Oh, and chat, Silver says it's really nice that they take glasses into account. Glasses squad? Yeah. Do glasses affect your eye tracking? Like, does that change things? Do you ask people to take off glasses?
With our trackers, we they say about 1% of people can't be tracked for one reason or another, and they do say that if you have participants with glasses, ask them if they have contacts, and probably get a better calibration.
Okay. Getting a good eye workout today. I think it's really neat that you said you were getting into the world of VR because this game, the way it's played, kind of reminds me a little bit of how VR games are structured. But we'll chat more in a little bit.
You must be fouls. That's mine.
Well, hello there, stranger. Whew. You're a real bright and shiny one, aren't you? I asked you for your name, but sadly you got no mouth to speak with, or hands to shake with, or nose to look down with. So we're gonna have to find another way. See, what you'll find is, even though you're no longer in your body's still inside of you. If that makes any sense. So, if you understand what I'm saying, blink over my hand here.
Okay, so put our mouse here and we blink.
Ooh, well look at that. You're a blinking genius. I knew you were special. You see all them poor souls down there, lost in the waves? I didn't choose any of them. I chose you. See, I just sometimes get a sort of a a hunch, or what's a better word? Notion? No, a better word than that. Premonition. A premonition when a soul's worth pulling up. Now you see that tower out there? Big, scary one? That's where I'm taking you to see the gatekeeper, to be judged. I'm gonna present your case, tell her the whole story of your entire life, from prow to stir. Now if she's impressed, I get paid the big coin, and you get yourself a spot in her magnificent city. If she ain't, well, I eat seagull for dinner again, and you, well, we don't have to worry about that, because I am the best orator you'll find on these sickly waters. Class A storyteller, believe you me. Oh, shut up, you trash birds. You had your chances. It wasn't my fault you were no good. Layabouts. Unsatisfactory. Clock watchers. I got some words for you.
I like how there's humor in the beginning with this part.
Sorry you had to hear that. Ooh. So sure, maybe I'm not the most verbose storyteller out there, but I know how to spin a yarn if I'm given something to work with. And that's where you come in. Your life. You're gonna show it to me. I want to see exactly what made you so absolutely great. So, just think back to the very beginning, the first thing that you can remember. I'm gonna send you there. But understand, no matter how much you like it, you're not gonna be able to stay, all right? Every time you blink, you're going to jump forward in time. Could be a second, could be 5 years. That's just how this thing works.
I'm very bad at keeping my eyes open.
Alrighty then. I hope he's ready for this. Now, the next time that you blink, I'm gonna send you back.
Can I like pull my eyes open?
And don't try to fight it.
It's gonna make this tricky.
And just try to enjoy it this time.
In chat, Rox is brilliant. Welcome in says, I was going to ask if you're much more aware if you're blinking right now. Oh, absolutely.
Look at that sun.
Makes you want to blink more, probably.
Yeah.
We've got a long, beautiful day ahead of us. Why are you smiling like that?
This must be our first memory with our mother. This is really cute.
Let's go get you some seashells. What do you say?
I like how this kind of gets at like the imperfect nature of memories too. Like you don't remember everything, but just little patches here and there.
See that big spiky plant over there?
I love knowing that this is based
It's
off
called
Death of a
Nagano.
Salesman.
Yeah.
11 years from now.
Day really slipped away, didn't it? Oh well, days have a tendency to do that, I guess. Now, where's the first?
Okay. Go ahead, kid. Look at that.
Benny,
There's your
1 year
little
old.
hand.
We have to make him do this every birthday.
That's a great idea. It'll really be something.
Does this make you think of, your own family and like watching, kids growing up? What must they remember?
My kid just brought home an
Oh,
art
you wanna play
thing,
along
just
with
like that
mine,
hand we
don't
saw.
you?
Sounds good, honey.
perfect.
Well, sounds pretty perfect to me.
Yeah, what do you like about it?
What do I like about it? I like the music.
That's... Look at his little face. What do you think he's thinking about?
Do you think you're going to incorporate
Probably
blinks into your research in the future? I don't know what that would say. Maybe that's something to think about, right? Because I could see where fixation, how long you stare at something might be important.
No,
But I wonder
it's
what
not
blinking
derivative.
says about
At least I didn't think
people's
it was.
attention.
Do you think you could tell the other members of the selection committee what I just told you? Right. No, I'm sorry. I guess I just put a lot of expectation on this one. Okay, I understand. Thank you for considering my piece, John. It really means a lot. Oh, that's sure a little mess of color.
Throw? Should we throw it?
Let's do it.
You know, if you keep working at it, one day you'll be able to paint exactly what's in your head.
I love how artistic we are. Scrapbook. Okay, so if I move my mouse, it controls everything. This is really neat. So we have a little scrapbook with Beethoven in it.
It's fun.
Okay.
See? That used to be my piano. My dad gave it to me. He loved music. Fled his home country just to have a chance to pursue it. God, he made me practice so much. I hated it at first.
Okay, Benny. Are you ready to see something really special?
Yes.
I just don't want him to get attached. Richard,
What?
this is the cutest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
We can't keep him, can we? I mean, I'm pretty much definitely allergic, so no, right?
No.
I'm trying so hard not to blink. Maybe I'm blinking and it's just not registering.
Now play the C major chord I taught you. Remember?
It's kind of perfect that they have a one-eyed cat for this game about blinking. I love that.
That's funny.
There you go. Doesn't that make you feel happy? Like you just want to jump up and down? Now what about C minor? You remember how to play that one? Very good. Just one note different. But that one sounds sad, doesn't it? Amazing what a difference one little change can make on how a person feels. Sort of like me and your little friend on your piano there.
She was in grad school studying composition. I never met anyone like her. I just prayed to God I could somehow keep up.
Oh, this is interesting. So I wonder if this is like us learning more about our parents, too? Like maybe this Richard Bryn, instructor, Maritime History of the Pacific, 1415 to 1815. I know this might be kind of hard for you to read, but I wonder if like our
Where are
dad's
you seeing that? Is that up on top of the page?
Yeah, so that's do you see this
Oh.
like circle? Yeah, I know the text is so small. Yeah, I wonder if our dad is a professor and our mom's like an artist slash musician.
I think she liked that I was a professor. Gave me a certain gravitas in her eyes, you know, which I very quickly lost.
Oh, and then a ticket to Egypt. Huh.
God, she dragged me to so many places. It was wonderful.
So you had asked how to incorporate eye blinks into research. I know a lot of people have used it in the past for like people, like, for instance, who have ALS, who can't use their muscles or certain body parts. They use it to compose and like write things and communicate. So that's one way eye blinks have been incorporated.
Yeah. Is that the same or different? Is that locked-in syndrome? Is that what that is? Or
Lou Gehrig's disease?
yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Like I was reading, maybe it was like a fiction story about how, yeah, when you wake up and you can't move and all you can move is like your eyes. Huh, that's what that makes me think of. Well, I think this is a really cool way to tell a story about someone's life, you know, like reliving it through their memories in this way.
Yeah.
Cool. Ooh, this is a new one. I can read music, but I don't know if it actually wants me to.
That's my piece. How did you figure out how to play that? Richard, are you hearing this?
I guess no matter where you are, it plays it.
playing
I don't
my
have to be on
piece.
an actual key.
He must have figured it out by ear. I mean, I was a gifted kid, but he's brilliant. We need to get him into serious piano lessons.
Okay, so we are some sort of musical prodigy, it seems like, in our life.
Oh God, I have my interview in 5 minutes and I completely forgot to feed him.
Don't worry, I already did.
Oh, thank God. For a moment, I forgot what a great father you are.
Focus on the interview, honey. I got this.
Excuse me, of course, sir. It's all organized into folders, sitting ready on my kitchen table. They will literally be on your desk when you get in.
Do you have any pets, Laura?
What could possibly happen?
I have 2 dogs, and I'm surprised they're not barking right now.
They're very good.
Fingers crossed they'll stay quiet.
Right. Okay, so I guess it looks like we moved. Oh no! We moved forward in time. Our kitten looks a little bit older now. Oh no.
You said you have a cat?
I'm allergic to cats, unfortunately. I have a dog though. I have a Shiba Inu, which people say are the cats of the dog world, though. So it's closest I'll ever get to having a cat.
You're a working woman now.
I guess that's true.
Don't let it go to your head, but yeah.
Please let the cat know it's time to use the litter box, though.
Baby steps. He's got one eye.
This is called a metronome. We use it to measure time so we don't get lost in the music. I want you to start using it before Grandpa comes to visit. You know, my father once told me, when I was about your age, the only way to fight against time is to create a work of genius, which might live on after you're gone. So
Interesting.
I asked him, what about your children? Thinking, I might be a work of genius just as I was. He said, yes, I suppose. If you made a work of genius, I could live on through that as well. No such luck for me.
So I think she said her dad had fled his home country, which is really interesting, and came to be a musician.
You really need to stay in time with the metronome, okay? Subdivide the time. 1 E and a 2 E and a
I'm having like
3 E and a 4 E
flashbacks to when I was a
and 1 E
child
and a 2
and my
E.
mom, who doesn't play the piano, would supervise me playing the
There you go,
piano.
buddy.
I know.
Throw a grip
It's
on it,
okay.
just like that.
Do you still play?
I do, yeah.
Oh my. Well, don't think you like that, pal. Sorry, buddy. Turn around, Elle, so we can photograph you.
turn around? I don't think I can turn around. Oh, maybe it's here?
I'm just really behind right now. Why don't you take photos in the backyard?
Oh,
It may not be interesting.
we covered up the piano with a bunch of books. Yeah, during the pandemic, maybe a little bit before that,
Ernie!
I just remember like being really like depressed and down, and I realized, I just need to play more music in my life, and so I got this keyboard, and
So you're saying it's a coincidence
it was
that
a nice way to
disappears from
keep playing
Amazing.
music.
comes back with a huge belly?
One of my colleagues took up piano lessons during the
Boy.
pandemic.
And you're sure about that?
Yeah, my boyfriend's mom started taking lessons again recently too as an adult, so I love
That
that.
was
Yeah,
nice.
it's never too late to learn.
Yeah.
I'm still not understanding.
Cat had kittens.
He keeps coloring the grass blue, the ocean green, and then the sky red.
And what's wrong with that?
No, are you kidding? I love it.
Huh.
Were you able to pick up the new book?
Yes, the Manila Galleon was of particular interest.
I meant Benny's book.
Oh, yeah. Got the
Hmm.
I feel like something bad's about to happen.
I know. It seems impossible that you could ever play something so
Yeah.
complex. But just take it one day at a time. Trust me.
I know, it's like, this is such a fascinating way to tell a story. Like, I'm curious to see where they're gonna take
You're
us.
really getting there, honey. Next week we'll start working on your other hand.
Listen to him, Richard. I'm enlisting him in that competition.
I thought you said Okay. 2 brackets on each side. 2 screws on each bracket.
The quiz said find the zero, and he just drew an arrow pointing to it.
Well, what's wrong with that?
I mean, everything is wrong with that.
Very suspenseful.
Yeah. I like how the answer just turned an arrow to the zero. That's funny.
I want that box full by the time I come in there. If you don't play with it anymore, we're getting rid of it.
Congratulations.
This isn't my house.
Hmm.
It's not my house.
I wonder who this is.
You have 5 minutes to get down. I'll drive it back with you up there.
You're not my house. You're not.
Was that us, or do you think it's like a sibling? Interesting. Yeah, maybe a new neighbor.
So are you looking at those eyes and blinking on them?
Yeah, so when
Oh.
there's an eye,
I'll feed them
it moves
to
it
cats.
forward. So like this.
Inside. It's late.
Link.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Come over here.
I'm coming.
Yes, Mr. Camera Boy. I'm talking to you.
I don't know how to move forward. Okay. I think the game is doing it automatically. Okay.
Why are you always out here taking photos? You know, if you really want to take a photo of something cool, you should take a photo of this.
Chloe.
Oh shoot, I think I gotta go. But, try to take a photo of me running into my house. I'm pretty fast, so I don't think you'll
I'm
be
trying
able
not to
But
blink.
you can try.
I missed it. I didn't. It's just too fast for me.
Quiet, everyone. Betty's about to play for us.
Wow, Elle, he's unbelievable. My God, I didn't realize our head of accounting was raising a musical prodigy.
Didn't you used to be a composer yourself, Elle?
No, I don't know if I'd say that.
But you used to write your own music, right?
Yeah, but
The class is world history. My name is Mr. Isaac. The class will be broken up.
I wonder
into
how old we are now. 6th grade? Middle school? trying to think about when I started taking like history classes.
I was never very good at history. Anything that I had to memorize.
Yeah, I was also very bad at history. But I guess since working with historians, I've learned that I like history. I'm just, bad at remembering dates, but I love the stories of history.
I was just going to say, it's all about storytelling, I think.
On your desk.
If you have a good teacher.
Very obviously, we're not paying attention in this class. We're just like, hi, Chloe. This is our neighbor. What's this? Dear weird neighbor kid.
Oh no.
We are in the same class. What a coincidence. Please keep in mind that while we're at school, we don't know each other. Do not talk to me ever. Love, Chloe.
I want each of you.
Chloe, yeah.
Not people on the sideline.
Harsh.
Not stare off.
I like how ever is it like squiggled in red. Ever. Oh. Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it.
The next slide. Chloe, tell me, what did the quote say?
Right, I definitely know this.
Can I help
You
her?
were taking notes, weren't you, Chloe?
Oh, yes, of course.
There's the blink, but I don't know where to blink.
Come on, dude.
Can I help her?
Come on, Chloe. We're all waiting.
Oh, I feel bad.
Uh-oh.
I feel like I'm supposed to do something, but I don't know what.
I don't know either. Huh.
Chloe, you can do it.
Maybe on ever? I don't know.
Yeah.
Nope.
Chloe, you can do it. Hopefully we're not stuck.
Poor Chloe. Chloe was me.
Yeah.
Answer the question.
Yeah, I wonder. Oh, can we put this? Can we do this? Whisper.
It's that people who are in the past always remember. I don't know what I'm saying.
Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. And what's a better illustration of this point than Chloe's pathetic performance right there? If we do not keep an act.
Oh,
I
Chloe.
tried to convince your
My
father
goodness.
to follow that thing.
Yeah,
He
rough.
insisted. Half suspect he
Oh,
wanted
we're
it
11.
himself.
We are 11 now. Yeah, so we're just moving on. What controller is that? Someone in chat tell me if you know what controller that is.
Oh, I want the job before whoever gets paid to think
What
of
does
that
it say?
crap.
Conksters.
I've definitely seen you next door, but I didn't realize you guys had become friends.
Oh, we're friends now.
We sit together in history class. I don't know what I'd do without old Benny.
Very sweet. Thank you for playing this game with him.
Your dad just thanked me for hanging out with you? That's a very interesting detail. Okay, shut up. I really want this one. Maybe,
It's called a magnet school.
It's about an hour away.
Burton
in a town called
Conservatory of
Burton.
Music.
I know the change can be scary, but I just want you to go in and meet the dean I spoke with.
Again,
You
I'm
know, life
trying
can
not
take you
to
some incredible
blink
places if
overtly
you're
so it
really,
won't fast
really good
forward.
at something.
I don't think he'll be going to school with Chloe anymore.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Benjamin? You think you could excel in that sort of an environment?
Sorry, he gets very shy.
Oh, not to worry. If he's as gifted as you say he is, shyness is no problem. Why don't you two come back closer to the end of the year for an audition? We'll get a few pieces that you can have him start.
It looks like the controller for the Apple Pippin console. Yeah, maybe. Okay, here's Bach. I do love how they take these
As you can
very
see, there are
real.
some
I
very
remember playing
fast
this. I had to
runs in
play
there,
this when I was
and a lot of stuff I've not taught you
younger.
properly yet. So no pressure. I just want you to try, and we can see if you start enjoying it.
It might be really okay. I'm just like throwing ideas because I do this all the time. I wonder, have there been like eye tracking studies on like musicians, like when you're like reading music and like looking ahead?
You know, it's interesting that you bring that up. I haven't really read any, but I remember when I was at LSU, there was a music professor who wanted to use the eye tracker to do research. I forget what exactly they were looking at, but I'm sure that's its own niche research topic within that.
Yeah, you'd have to have like
study.
very like people who like know music and like music and also want to do this. I'm just thinking about this because I play piano and I think about how when you're first just learning, you know, how to sight read and read music, you read every note individually, like at a time. Oh. But as you get better, you have to look ahead. So you kind of like scan it and like you're always ahead. And I'm just wondering, like, it'd be really cool to do that with professional musicians or just see, like, you know, with a song, with whatever they're playing currently on their instrument, like, how far ahead in the music are they?
Yeah, that would be super interesting.
I'll be a co-author of that
paper. I wish
paper.
I knew how to read music.
Just this once. I wish I had the option of going to a school like that when I was your age. I wouldn't be working this boring job or living in this boring town, I'll tell you that.
Crumple? Do we want to crumple this? I don't know. No, we don't want to crumple our music. That's interesting. I feel like maybe there's like different endings in this game depending on like the decisions you make. I'm trying to line this up with the...
We're just going to have to keep on playing.
Talk to your friend after you practice.
When I was in grad school, I was really interested in music and psychology, and so we did studies where we put like electrodes on our like our forehead, and then we also did another one where we measured blood flow to your prefrontal cortex on your brain to measure like how hard you were like thinking. So I think music studies are really fascinating. Yeah.
Anubis,
this guy again.
In the presence of Ma'at, who you remember is the goddess of truth and justice, would weigh the deceased soul against a feather, determining whether it was worthy of entering into her land of the dead.
Do you think the ferryman is Anubis?
And what if they are deemed unworthy?
That'd be really
well, you can see that ugly fur ball under the scale? That is Amamet, and she's got, and yes, that's a she.
Hey,
the head of a crocodile.
Over here.
So did you just move them to the paper?
Yeah.
Body of a hippopotamus. Okay. Though I would not say that to her face. Now.
Oh, there's a note, but I can't. Do you see how there's a note over my face?
Yes, I do see that.
I can't read it though. Wonder if the game got stuck.
So I am not quite sure why I don't hear more frantic scribbling right now.
You want to get in a picture of feeling something? Oh, yeah, so I can like choose where to... I don't know if it's appropriate. I feel like he's gonna find this note and I'm gonna get in trouble.
Slightly worried about having changed school just as he's starting to make friends.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the only reason she keeps coming here is to play that game you bought for him.
Okay, well, listen, I don't claim to understand the motives of children, but...
That's stressful when your parents are fighting while you're playing music.
Yeah.
I mean, this is no offense at all. But I don't think you actually really understand what that is.
Okay, it's the day before our audition, or the day of, maybe.
Lights out. You need to be rested for tomorrow. Memory consolidates when you're asleep. So if you go to sleep now, you will awaken a master. Trust me.
Richard, tell your son to turn the lights off.
Benny!
Lava lamp.
Yeah.
Not Mom says, you say.
Benny, I say turn the lights off, not just Mom.
Okay. Turn the lights off, Dad. Uh-oh. Chloe. Oh, okay, Laura. Do we sneak out or do we try to sleep? What do we do?
Oh, I want to sneak out.
Okay.
Wow, didn't think you'd actually pick up. I mistook you for a baby. I apologize. Okay, so meet me out in the alley in T-minus now, okay?
You know, I'm really glad you're here. There's something I've been meaning to talk to you about. Or to get off my chest. Okay. I don't think Kongsters is actually a really good game. My cousin Yoon, he was in town this weekend, and he was explaining how it's actually a ripoff of a really good Japanese game. He calls it a cash grab. So, I'm sorry that I made you like it because it's actually a terrible game. But I also think that if it was a really good game, maybe we wouldn't have enjoyed it.
Oh no, I wanted to keep doing constellations and I blinked really hard. Oh no.
You're already feeling sick.
I was trying so hard not to blink.
Ooh, tricky game.
Yeah.
I mean, all the practice had to count for something.
So you can
Just
play
try
this
and
with just
close
your
your eyes.
mouse, but I thought it'd be fun to do it with the eye blinks.
In your own time, Benjamin, we are very excited to hear.
Ooh, I hope we do well. I'm nervous. I was so nervous. So I had to do recitals when I was younger, and I had such bad stage fright with the piano, but with violin it wasn't as bad.
You play other instruments?
Yeah, so I started
like-
on piano, and then I did violin and viola in middle school, and then in graduate school I studied just different types of music. So, this is hard. So I'm trying to get
Okay. I think that's enough.
Oh, I messed up my audition. I was too tired.
So, Benjamin, why don't we plan on having you come back next year again, once you've had a bit more time to practice?
Oh.
Yes?
It was so hard.
As
Like
you
it was
know,
moving so
Burton
fast. I was
is
trying to keep it in a lit up
every
spot.
Student, and I wish you the best.
I shouldn't have
of
had to
luck on
sneak
your
out.
wherever it may take you.
Everyone blame Laura. No. It's okay.
That's what all my friends used to say.
Want to thank you and your mother for coming.
Oh, I hope our mom isn't too
Maybe I
disappointed.
pushed you too hard.
Oh.
Maybe I turned into my own father. I don't know. You have to find something to focus on. The world isn't very kind to people who aren't really good at something.
We want him home from school for a while. Just until this nasty thing clears.
Oh, I have a cold.
Hey, Elle, would you mind taking a quick walk with me down to my office? There's a small clerical thing I need you to look at before I can let you two go.
Oh, yes, of course. I'll be right back, Benny, okay?
Just maybe 5 minutes, kiddo, okay?
Oh no.
Yeah, I wonder what's happening.
It's such a crucial time in his development. He shouldn't be confined to his room.
Yeah, look, having him home for a little means I can spend more time with him. You know? We can focus on
Trying not to blink.
things.
I really empathize with Benny. I think it's very hard when you have like a lot of pressure put on you, and you can't always, give 100%. Like sometimes you're sleepy
Yeah.
after sneaking out, or maybe you're stressed out, or it's okay if you go down different
This
paths.
isn't video game time. I want you to figure out something actually productive to do while you're home from school.
Oh, what are we giving away? All our old toys.
Dinner's ready.
Oh, am I like practicing being an artist? Went from October to January.
No. You mean young Vincent? Well, ever since he got sick, all he does is make art.
Yeah. I guess we're an artist now.
Mr. Benjamin
You're
Brin has
good.
been awarded first place.
Interesting. I wonder if maybe if we hadn't snuck out, would we still be an artist or would we be a musician now?
I think we're happier now.
Yeah, I hope
Sounds like
so.
the music's making it.
I like how in the art school application, we just drew a picture of the art school application.
You are not
Very
here to
meta.
learn to be painters. You are here to learn to be artists. And although I've hired to teach you, it is a sham.
Oh, we get to pick
There
where we
is
want
no
this.
teaching
Right
art.
here.
So don't just sit there slack-jawed. Make art. Ponies. Oh.
Oh, how very wacky and fun these are. It's very zany, very kitsch. Lucky for you, the world is always in need of more greeting card art.
Oh, he just called our art greeting card art.
There you go, Mr. Brin. Feel each shape.
We haven't had the nicest teachers yet.
No, we haven't. But I guess we're an abstract artist now.
Oh, you fiend!
I want you all to take a long look at what Mr. Brin has done here.
Yes, what have I done?
You see, he has reached down deep within himself and created a masterpiece.
That's us.
I'm stunned.
I know that lots of agents gave you lots of cards, and it all probably feels weird and alienating and the opposite of what being a starving artist is supposed to feel like. But if I can teach you one thing, it's that if opportunity knocks, open the door. Making a living isn't selling out. I wish I had thought of it that way.
I think if I could play this game again, I would do it without blinks because I really want to get the full story.
Don't worry. You're not selling your soul.
But I do kind of like how fragmented this is. Like it really is just like experiencing memories. Ooh. Okay, do we want to sign this contract or do you want to crumple the contract?
I made the last decision and it was a bad one. So.
Oh gosh. Rock says, seems like a good game for replaying and making decisions. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's crumple it because I think... Let's see what happens. No, you can't buy me.
You've crumpled my contract.
To being a difficult artist, the best of us are.
Oh, I guess my art teacher approves.
Excellent.
Ah, this is divine. So, now that you've grown your wings, tell me, young master, where will you fly?
Okay. Oh, it's interesting that it changes until I blink, and then that blink determines what's there.
Is that a...
That's cool.
I think it is.
All places.
I think I got all of it. My eyes are so tired right now. That's our painting. That's what I just made. Oh,
yay!
It was really cool.
Oh no. Oh, that was cool.
I mean it. I'm just calling to inform you that I went to the doctor today, and well, I'm going to be a little sick for a while, but really, I don't want you worrying about it at all. You're at such an important moment in your career, and I'm just so proud of you.
I tried to answer it. Maybe I didn't register. I can't tell. Is that our mom who's
That's
sick?
enough from me.
I think.
Now, you'll hear from the person who I believe is the single thing in the world
I tried to
my
answer the
wife is
phone.
most proud of.
Oh no. Oh, we have to talk.
Say something. What's wrong? Why aren't you talking?
Hey, you. As you know, I talk to big, very important people every day. And there's one thing that everybody is asking me. What's going on with Benjamin Brin? And what am I supposed to say? That I haven't heard from my...
This is sad.
You are a snake. You're a fraud. But worst of all, Benjamin, you're a little tease. I have told the...
Hey, B. Just calling to tell you. I think I'm selling the house. She's everywhere here, son. I can't move without bumping into her. Then I just find myself breaking down again.
Take whatever you want. With your mother gone, I'm hoping
Oh, look how
finally
old her
live
dad
without
is
all the
now.
clutter. Yeah, I think you did the right thing. By the way, she didn't want you to see her like that. She just wanted you to focus on your work. That was the only thing that mattered to her. What's that? What's so fast?
Did you know that you would get emotional? At least I'm emotional.
I felt like something big was coming. I was a little nervous.
Yeah. Oh. I'm trying to think, how do I want her mom? I like that.
Aw.
Look.
I feel like I might just play this game for the rest of the day.
Yeah. Well, I think the whole thing, it's about an hour and a half or two, so really you could do it, you know, in one sitting if you wanted to. Oh, that's us. Do we have like an exhibition, or is this about
I think
her mother? The Passing Day, inspired by the musical composition of his late mother, the composer. Oh, I didn't know she was a composer. L. Stevens. Relatively unknown.
It's Chloe.
Lifted his
Your
mother's
neighbor.
work out of obscurity with the creation of
My
this
God,
piece.
I can't believe this. It's been years. I just walked through the entire show. It's unbelievable. I'd love to walk through it again with you. I mean, if you were down for that.
I feel bad. I was just ignoring Chloe. I was just reading this. She's now considered to be one of the great composers of her time. Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
It's really sweet. Okay, Chloe. Sure.
I just can't believe that my entire childhood.
Oh, there.
I was
You made that
next to
painting,
a
right?
Yeah, we made it.
Genius.
We made it.
You should have guessed it. I mean, with all those little drawings you did. And your mom. I always heard her playing piano from next door, but I didn't know she wrote the actual music. She was a genius. Like mother, like son, I guess. Hey, so, not to be forward, but what are you doing after this? Maybe we could get a drink or something? I'd really love to catch up. I can't believe everything that's happened to you. I want to hear all about it.
Oh, it's our friend.
Now would you look at that? I cannot believe my luck.
Oh gosh, do you hear my dogs in the background?
You know, it's kind of perfect because it goes with this guy.
Oh, the nobody, nothing's dying every day. You finally sink your
Too little too late, Chloe.
Oh, well, there you are. Well, hello, sir. If I had realized, I would have cleaned up. I'm just used to fishing up a different class of soul. I mean, sure, I've had scientists, a couple college athletes here or there, but whew, an internationally renowned painter? The gatekeeper's gonna eat you up. Hey, speaking of that, why don't we give your story a test run? Maybe you help me out with the word choice, since, you know, I'm still working on that. See if I'm getting all the strokes right, the proper composition, if you catch my drift. Forget about it. All right, here we go. Gatekeeper! Before you stands the soul of a great man. Now, would you describe yourself as a happy kid or a lonely one?
Ooh. I don't know. This is a good question. Also, this is a good time. I feel like we can take our break, like after this
Jovial
part of the game. But yeah,
a solitary one.
We're happy or lonely?
Hey, not bad.
What does the audience think?
Yeah, audience, calling for a friend. Because I think I'll talk through this. Because I think we were happy because we had music, but at the same time it seemed kind of lonely. I mean, it wasn't lonely because we had music, but maybe. Yeah, we were kind of pushed to create art and music, and maybe Chloe was our only friend. Yeah, so lonely. Okay, we're gonna go with lonely. I think we were a lonely child.
His childhood was a lonely one, growing up as a strange, quiet child in an isolated seaside town. And, what'd you say your mom was? Composer or an accountant?
We know this one. She was a composer.
His mother was a composer who, with the need to support her family, took a job as an accountant.
Oh.
How would you describe her as a teacher? More encouraging or demanding? Kind of like your champion or more like a taskmaster?
I think she was encouraging. I don't think she was... I mean, she was demanding too, but, you know, she wasn't like... She encouraged us.
I feel like Benny would say encouraging, yeah.
Therefore, as his piano teacher, she was ever encouraging, teaching him to recognize the greatness within. And how about that neighbor girl? Huh? What was she to you? Was she your best friend or first love? Now, be honest here.
I don't think we're not there yet. We're not at love yet.
Man, you can tell.
We're going to say best friend. Welcome in, Cypher.
We still remember that history now.
Yep. Don't talk to me ever again.
He completely dropped the ball, staying up all night with his best friend and blowing it the next day. Now, from that moment forward, his mother gave up on him. She knew he didn't have what it took to be a truly great musician. But little did she know, she just picked the wrong medium, right? See, when he was 12 years old, he got sick, and he had to stay inside for an entire year. And in that year, he rediscovered a talent he'd forgotten: painting. Sure, he loved finger painting as a child. Color and shape were the first languages he learned to speak. But for the first time, he saw it in a more serious light. he was accepted into an exclusive art school where he caught the eye of an esteemed professor who launched his work into the national spotlight. Now be quiet. With expectations on his career mounting, he stalled himself into bankruptcy, which turned out to be a blessing, for it wasn't until he returned home to the house he grew up in that he began work on what would ultimately be considered his masterpiece. I said shut up, you scumballs! You lucky fowls! All right! I get it!
This is a fun way to think about the afterlife.
Yeah.
Okay, I think once we pass through the gate, we'll take our break. Let's see what happens.
I had assumed as much anyway. I should probably tell you, those things, they're not regular gulls. They're liar birds. They're what becomes of souls who try to lie to the gatekeeper.
Oh.
And once they try that, they're never allowed near her city again. I get to feeling bad for not defending them right, so they just stay on with me. Living reminders of my oratory shortcomings.
Okay, we'll try not to be a liar bird.
Yeah, good thinking. I'll be back to get you once I'm done with this one. Hopefully you won't be seeing him again.
All right.
You're a flea-bitten sap, you know that? Just look at him. Poor fool doesn't know what he's in for.
Okay, Laura, we're going to take our break. So for everyone in the audience, we're going to take about, 3 to 5 minute break. And then we'll come back and we'll do the fun part of our program. Well, this is all fun, but we're going to get to chat with Laura for the rest of the duration of the stream. So we'll see you all in just a little bit. So I'm going to pull up the break screen and we'll be right back. See you very soon. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. We hope you had a good break. I am back with Laura Crosswell from the University of Nevada, Reno. Laura, I would love to know what did you think of the game? I feel like this is one of the more passive ones we've played. It's really been more about kind of just watching and listening, and then the eye tracking, of course. But it was just a little bit more. We really were kind of watching a movie in a way.
Yeah, like I said, I don't have too much experience with games, but I thought this was such a great way to tell a story. And it, for me, on my end, was very suspenseful. I kept thinking something was kind of really brought us into the experience of Benny. And I was waiting for something to happen. I had a feeling it might have taken a twist with a dark turn, but that was fun.
Yeah, I really did like how I got the sense when we were making decisions, like, yeah, maybe things would have ended up differently if we didn't sneak out or if we signed a contract. So I like that we had some like control when we were telling that story. So
Yeah.
for everyone in our audience, this is the part of our stream that I always like where we get to ask questions and learn more about Laura. So if you have any questions for her, please don't feel shy about putting them in a chat and any comments that you might have as well. So, Laura, I like to start off the interview portion of our stream by, just asking you, kind of like an origin story. Like, how did you get to where you are today? Like, have you always been interested in public health and, eye tracking? Like, what led you to where you are today in Reno?
Sure. So I went to undergrad at Clemson University in South Carolina, and I had moved with somebody I was dating at the time to Charleston. I really wanted to go into advertising, and the market had just happened to crash during that time. Sorry, my
It's
dogs
okay.
are saying hi.
It's fine.
And because the market had crashed, it was very difficult to find a job in the area of advertising, what I really wanted to go into. And so I got my master's. And I was never the best student, but towards the end of my master's, I was like, I really like school. So I went and I had two great professors who really encouraged me to pursue my PhD. And that's where I found eye tracking. And at that time, we had to figure out what we were going to do for our dissertation. And for my master's thesis, I was looking at HPV and the Gardasil vaccination, and it all just kind of came together with eye tracking and health marketing. And I wanted to see, what consumers physiologically interacted with and how it influenced their reception and perception of the messages they saw. And from there on, it just kind of became my passion.
Was that when you say messaging, is that like TV? Is it like internet ads? Like where are people seeing these things? Like where were you tracking them?
Yeah, so my interest is in, it's called direct-to-consumer advertising. So it's prescription drug advertising. And I always look at it, the commercials on television, because that's actually only legal in the US and New Zealand. So it's a very privileged and unique form of advertising. And because it's so prevalent, we see pharmaceutical ads. I mean, I don't know the exact number, but it's crazy how often they air. And it really shapes how we perceive health issues, health risks, health concerns. And it's, I'm always interested in this kind of like medicalized approach that the US seems to take with health issues. And so just understanding, or my interests lie in how that pharmaceutical branding influences our trust in the messages that we're seeing.
Huh. I didn't realize that it was only in the US and New Zealand. That's really interesting. I thought it was just like a fact of life that when you turn on TV, you'll probably get, an ad every once in a while for, whatever, newest vaccine or drug is out there. Really interesting. So as I read in your bio, I noted that you're the director of the Center for Advanced Media Studies at the University of Nevada, Reno. What is that? What do you do at the center? Like, what are some cool things that you do?
So the Center for Advanced Media Studies is located in the Reynolds School of Journalism, and it's really the research arm of our school. And so in my position, I'm charged with bringing in visiting scholars and speakers. Faculty can get funding for their research through this center, as can grad students. And so we've seen some really great projects, including books and film documentaries. We had some VR projects from graduate students, all through this center, which kind of just provides funding and that extra area of research for our students and faculty.
Yeah. Do you do is that where the eye tracking projects that you do take place, or is that elsewhere?
Yes. So we have a research lab, and in that lab we have eye trackers. We have the skin conductance that I think you mentioned maybe earlier. We also have a brain cap. So we have a whole bunch of different equipment that really speaks to physiological reactions of audiences when they are watching or interacting with media content.
Interesting. Also, kind of going along with that, in chat we have a comment. I remember someone making a joke to a friend in another part of the world about the super sped up part of medicine ads, and they were so confused. Yeah, probably because they've never seen medicine ads, and then yes, it's always sped up at the very end.
Yeah. Because I guess, the pharmaceutical companies don't want to linger in that area. So they put a whole bunch of information there really quickly.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit more about like just what you've learned through this research? So you study, kind of how people perceive these and the influence on consumers. Like, what does eye tracking like tell you? Like, what are we? I don't know what my eyes are looking at.
So my first big eye tracking project, I was looking at the advertisements for HPV and eventually the Gardasil vaccination. Okay. And so HPV is a sexually transmitted infection, and it really came into public conversation with a social awareness campaign. So the vaccination hadn't yet received FDA approval, so the pharmaceutical company, which was Merck, couldn't advertise that vaccination. But they could release, these social awareness messages. So I don't know if anybody remembers, but, back about 10 years, the first tier of that social awareness campaign was basically make the connection between HPV and cervical cancer. You should know that there is this connection between this STI and this deadly disease. And then the next tier was tell someone, tell a friend, tell your and it was all very female oriented. And so one argument is that these messages were bringing awareness to the public sphere about something that really hadn't been talked about much. The other argument is that that pharmaceutical company was gathering a consumer base before this vaccination was released. Regardless of the intentions or the outcome, I was really interested in because on all of those awareness messaging, Merck was there, but not quite as prominent as the other sponsors. And in one ad, they said all of the other sponsors out loud, audibly, and they didn't say Merck. And so I was like, that's really interesting. I wonder, if people are seeing this, if they know that they're seeing this, and how that's influencing their perception of the ad. And so in that particular study, many of the participants weren't able to cognitively self-report, Merck was a part of this ad. However, we did see that the more people looked at Merck Pharmaceutical and the longer that they looked and the quicker that they looked, the lower the amount of trust they had in that message. So for me, it's really interesting because these physiological metrics kind of tell us about, things that we might not be able to report because we don't even recognize it ourselves.
That's really interesting. I know I don't watch a lot of TV anymore. I kind of just, watch things on the internet or on demand without ads. But every once in a while you do get an ad. So I'm going to think about that the next time I look at something for sure. Yeah, I'm just sort of letting this digest. That's really interesting. So
on social media, it takes it to a whole new level because there's, kind of less control over where those ads go.
Yeah.
But I'm not as aware of all those policy and regulations.
So this is a little bit of a tangent, but when you're talking about HPV and the vaccine, do you know of Michael P. Branch at UNR? He's a writer. He's in the English creative writing department.
The name sounds super familiar.
Yeah, it's okay if you haven't. So I'm bringing this up. This is relevant, I promise. So we've worked with him a lot over the years, but he published a book last year, I believe, or the year before. Maybe it was the year before because now it's 2024. Called On the Trail of the Jackalope, and it connects so you know about this. So the jackalope's connection to the HPV vaccine, which is so fascinating.
I read an article. I had no idea he was at UNR. I don't think
so. I had to put you in touch now. I think this is amazing, and we've had him on this program too. But We featured. It
I
was.
have cited him.
You
cited
have.
him.
I have the book. I don't even see it. It's you can't see it on my webcam, but it's actually like on my bookshelf behind me. Yeah, we featured his book at the National Book Festival. So that book represented Nevada 2 years ago in DC, and we talked to a lot of people about like, do you believe in jackalopes, and kind of how kitschy they are, but also it was really important. Like, this study led to the development of that vaccine.
That is why I don't know how I missed that, because I was super interested in the article. I don't know where I saw it, because it wasn't the peer-reviewed article. I think I saw it in like a New York Times. I don't know where.
Okay.
But I certainly cited him, and I did not know.
Okay, well, he's at UNR. So glad I can make this connection. We'll make it happen. So this is what I love about my work. You just meet all sorts of people and you make these connections. So super, super cool. So I wanted to ask you to, kind of going along further with your research. So again, in your bio, and I'm sure you get this question all the time. So you are both part of the Reynolds School of Journalism, but you also you're a professor in a school of public health, or in a school of medicine. Can you talk more about like that intersection? Like, do you work jointly between the two? Like, what does that mean to be associated with both?
Sure. So when I was hired, I think there was an initiative for these joint appointments. And I don't think everyone intuitively thinks of like a med school and a journalism school coming together, but I was so excited by it because I think it's so important. And I don't teach at the med school. I teach primarily, 100% at the Reynolds School. However, I do research in collaboration with the med school. We've done a lot of fun studies, one using the eye tracking embedded virtual reality glasses. I was in a group that looked a lot at implicit bias in the healthcare industry. And so that was kind of where that collaboration came together.
Mm-hmm. Can you expand upon that? So I'm thinking about, what you said earlier about how we see things and we might not be able to report it like consciously, but our brain still tracks it somehow, because we're kind of seeing the whole picture, not just focusing on details. How does that connect to implicit bias?
Well, in so many different ways. Yeah. So with the study we did with the med school, they were looking at situational awareness and patient handoff between nurses and doctors, and where med students were looking, like, were they looking at the doctor? Were they looking at the nurse? And I think you can take that in a variety of ways. Are we more prone to look and take direction from a man, from a woman, from, different races? I've also done a study using eye tracking, using the implicit attitude test, which basically shows, flashes them pictures and word associations. And that has, its own lineage of peer-reviewed research on it. But to incorporate eye tracking with it, I think incorporating eye tracking with any kind of area of interest just incorporates another measurement that brings so much insight to, how we're reacting and what, how we can understand ourselves better. Because if we are breathing, we have a bias, it's not something we can always consciously recognize. And even if we do recognize it, we kind of like to bury it down deep. But I think, the only way to address bias is to acknowledge it and kind of talk about it and just figure it, like looking a little bit deeper within yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I could definitely see this playing on so many different contexts, like just thinking about, if you're making eye contact with someone, if you're not, and then if like race, gender, etc. plays a hand in that. And and then, that would also play out in other parts of your life. We have a question for you in our chat. So Genevieve says, what journalism class do you teach, if you don't mind me asking?
I teach intro to PR and advertising, and I teach a health marketing and advertising class. At one point in time, I taught introduction to media and society. All are really fun classes. Those are.
Are those for undergraduates, or do you teach like graduate classes too?
At one point, I think graduate students can take the health marketing and advertising, but they are mostly geared towards undergraduates.
Okay. That's super cool. I don't I think it wasn't until I really moved to Nevada and started working with Nevada Humanities that, and of course working with the J School, I didn't know much about like journalism and journalism school before that. So it's been really fascinating, like just seeing the wide variety of classes and all the different applications. And yeah, so in chat, Genevieve says, nice. I just took Media and Society last semester. Very cool.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, they're taking journalism classes, so that's awesome. Maybe you'll have Laura someday as your professor. You can
Yes,
say you
sign
saw
up for
them
my
here.
class.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I'm wondering if you can tell us, just tell us more about, so you do classes, you're the director of the Center for Media Studies. Do you do other interesting like work or projects at UNR?
So oftentimes I work with students from the School of Public Health. I've worked with students from the business school because I think, and it's funny because a lot of people, I think, they enter the journalism school and they're like, I had no idea all of this was going on at the journalism school. And that's why I'm so lucky to be there. We have people who make documentaries. We have people who study like First Amendment and ethics. We have people who do marketing and advertising. And it's just such a rich kind of collaborative environment. And so people come in and they see this lab and they're like, what, journalism? And it just gives me an opportunity to kind of reach across campus and work with other areas, which is always fun for me. In terms of current projects that I am working on or kind of wrapping up, some of the fun ones I was looking at if people see actor portrayal or real patient in pharmaceutical advertisements and how that influences their trust. I am
Wait, can you explain that? So you said actor portrayal or
So a lot of times on pharmaceutical advertisements, they will have somebody saying like, oh, I suffered from this, and it'll say actor portrayal.
Oh, okay.
And recently they have started incorporating real patients and they'll identify that. And so I wanted to see, are people noticing this and do they know that they're noticing this? And if so, how is that influencing their response to the message?
I guess I didn't notice it. Yeah.
Once you notice it, it's kind of like, it's also like a little bit of implicit bias. Once you see it, it's hard to unsee.
Yeah.
And then it like is permanently kind of, I'm also looking at, I did a study where it was about HPV in a mock blog, like a health blog, and looking at the difference between if it was a doctor, an actor or actress, or a blogger. And now we're kind of improving the study a little bit to look at, we're going to change out the gender and the race of the blogger to see how that's influencing message reception, perception, things like that.
Can you, so as you're explaining all of this, I know, so when we first started Before Your Eyes, which measures the numbers of eye blinks and that kind of thing, and you're talking about different metrics that you measure, like, pupil dilation and fixation. Can you talk a little bit more, now that we have sort of the space to expand upon it, like what exactly, or different things that you track when you're doing eye tracking studies? Like what does pupil dilation show us, for instance, or what are other things that you look at?
Sure thing. So the main metrics that I use are time to first fixation. So basically what is most noticeable? What is attracting the viewer's attention right away? Fixation count. So that is if I look at something like a donation bar on a university website. If I look here and then I look up here and then I look back, that can sometimes indicate confusion. Like if I keep on looking up here and then back down here. I also look at fixation duration or dwell time. So that's how long I look within that area of interest and how long I stay there, which also speaks to cognitive processing. I have not yet done pupil dilation because it's not an easy metric to understand. However, it does speak to excitement. So when we get excited, our pupils dilate and get bigger, but it's not as easy to interpret and calculate as the other.
Right, like your pupils might dilate because, I don't know, maybe you're distracted and you're thinking about something else, or I don't know.
Yeah, and even lighting can make those pupils. So until I get a better grasp on that, I'll stick with what I know.
Yeah. So with your eye tracking, is it like a webcam? Is it kind of like what I have, or like how, like what does your setup look like? I'm trying to imagine this.
So it is a little magnetic bar. It's very discreet, and it just kind of sits on the bottom of the computer.
Oh, on the bottom. Okay, so like not on the top.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it
Okay.
uses infrared lights to make connections with your eyes. And typically when I'm running a study, here's a secret for the audience. I don't tell, you have to go and get approval from the institutional review board when you are working with human subjects on any kind of research. And so they approve this process, but you always have to debrief the participant. But basically, I don't tell them that they're being tracked because that will influence, where even if we don't want it to influence, kind of like you're like, I don't want to blink. But once we know that our eye movements are being tracked, it definitely, influences it in one way or another. So I try not to make people too aware of what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. So do you just say, we're just going to sit you down and have you watch like ads and then tell us afterwards, but you're actually looking more at, where their eyes are going.
Yeah, which is a little tricky because there is a calibration process at the beginning. I'm sure participants probably have, a little bit of understanding of what's going on, but we don't like to highlight it if we don't need to.
It's just really fascinating. Now I want to work in your lab and do eye tracking work and figure out how do I get to the humanities. Like I said, I majored in psychology as an undergraduate, but a lot of my work was on like music and like auditory stuff. So there is, I think, one of the coolest summers of my life is the second year I was at school. I went to London to like shadow this professor, Lauren Stewart, at Goldsmiths College, and she studies, amongst many other things, congenital amusia, which is a disorder in which people can't make sense of music. And so, but we did, other studies, and one of those, I worked with a lot of our students. I was like a guinea pig / test subject where, they put things on, like the brain cap that you're talking about, electrode studies. And then when I was in grad school, I was studying ethnomusicology at the time, but I still love this work with like science and psychology. So I worked with the computer science people on measuring blood flow to the prefrontal cortex. So just all of this is super fascinating.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I want to hear more about it. You definitely need to come to the lab. I'm really excited because recently somebody from epidemiology came into the lab along with somebody from psychology, and they're doing work on infants. So I get to bring my little baby boy in, and we're going to track him next week.
Yeah. Well, that's great because I guess, your infant doesn't know, so you can't affect. Yeah. They'll look wherever they want to look.
He's a little older. He's like a year and a half, but we're gonna hook him up and see what. Actually, you don't have to hook anybody up for eye tracking, so that makes it easier.
Yeah, that's super cool. So I'm trying to think. So my next question for you is, I guess you know this. I shared some questions with you before this, but I'd love to know, since you've kind of traveled all over the place. You've been in South Carolina for a good chunk of your life. You were at Louisiana, then you're in Arizona, and now you're here in Nevada. I always like to ask first-time guests, what are your top 3 places or things to do in Nevada? Just, they don't have to be touristy. It could be like, I love my tree in my backyard, and that's fine. But just to give like a better like picture of our state.
Yes. So I always say I am Reno's biggest cheerleader of all the places I have lived. I, by far, Reno and Nevada blow every other place out of the park. But my top 3 things are, every year I have a friend who organizes a hike up Mount Rose, which is always really special. I really like Whispering Vines, which is a restaurant.
Oh, okay.
Whispering
I've
Vines.
never been there.
It's on 4th Street. It's kind of a wine bar and also restaurant. It's really good. And I just really like the atmosphere. It has a really nice patio. I also recently went to Anna's Taqueria, which I really like. I'm a bit of a foodie, so if anybody in the audience has recommendations.
Yeah, share.
And then lastly, I just really like, this is kind of maybe a little bit dorky, but I love it. I love geocaching with my kids because I am seeing so many new things that are just so cool. And, I've lived here since 2015, and I'm just starting to find new little treasures, aside from the treasures in the geocache. So, yeah.
That's amazing. So I guess it was 2 summers ago now. I went out to like northeastern Nevada with my boss. Or maybe no, I went up north. So I went to Gerlach and Fly Ranch, and her daughter came with us, and her daughter's really into geocaching, and that was like the first time I really saw it, because I'd read about it, but I'd never done it myself. And so it was really cool, like seeing the app and being like, oh, there's one like like 100 feet away. Let's go find it. And that was a lot of fun.
It is so much fun.
Yeah. Do you leave things behind? Like, do you bring things of your
We
own?
do.
What do you bring? What do you
We
leave?
have a little geocaching bag. So my husband's friend got my son like little kind of ninja figurines, and so we leave those. And we have just little. I got on Amazon like a little pack of, I don't know, just like 5 cent little things, but it's always fun to leave it. And then we will actually go back like 3 weeks later to see if anybody found our prize.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Now I know that you're a geocacher. When I'm in Reno, I'm gonna see if I can find little ninja figures, and I'll know it was you. That's fun.
I can give you a cheat sheet.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, when you're saying that you're a foodie and you love restaurants, and earlier when you were saying when you kind of know your eyes are being tracked, it kind of influences how you behave. I'm wondering, because you do this research, like, are you very aware of like what you're looking at, like just like all the time, like when you're looking at a menu or when you're at a restaurant, like do you think, oh, like they're making me like look at like a certain thing, or they really want me to pay attention to this detail? Like, do you see that in your everyday life playing out?
It's funny in advertisements all the time.
Okay.
I always am like, I know what they're doing here. When I'm just out to a restaurant, not so much. But what's fun is that my husband will be like, hey, do you think that they're doing this here because of this? So I'm like, so it's kind of parlayed into his interest as well.
Yeah. I always think, again, like, just with I haven't taken any marketing or advertising classes. But again, when I was in grad school, like we, read a lot about like festivals and how you display things and like, cultural heritage and that kind of thing. And so when I go to like festivals, I'm like, what do they want me to notice? Like, what are they like highlighting? So I think about that a lot. Same with like restaurants as well.
It's fun to learn about. It's fun to teach. I love the psychology behind marketing and advertising.
Yeah. I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit more about your work with public health messaging. So you talked about, with ads. Do you look at any other kind of media? Like, I guess public health messaging sounds so broad. So like, what does that encompass exactly?
Yeah, so it is really broad. And my research really kind of specifically focuses on that pharmaceutical advertising aspect. Although I have branched out a little bit to kind of blogs now, because more and more we are trusting like influencers and bloggers and user generated content more so than a primary physician. And so because there are so many different messages out there, it's so hard to figure out, where we should place our time and energy and trust.
Yeah.
And sometimes people who have the expertise aren't always heard, and those who don't have the expertise are being very influential and just kind of exploring this whole kind of chaotic and dynamic atmosphere of public health messaging. There's so many areas to journey down. And right now I'm kind of just focusing on that one specific area, but yeah.
And so I know that part of your work also involves, correct me if I'm wrong, but like media literacy, is that part of it? Like just learning how to like really like sift through like all the different information you're getting? Like, can you tell us more about how your work intersects with media literacy?
Yeah, so all of our classes, I think, at the journalism school integrate that aspect of media literacy. And media can be just so influential in our lives that it's important to understand how what we see and the content we consume cultivates our biases and perpetuates biases and just shapes our understanding of the world around us. And with this introduction of social media platforms, users have more power, which is really exciting. We can call out politicians, we can call out organizations and businesses where we feel like there are systemic flaws in their operations. With that comes the complications of kind of this fight for audience's attention and, you know, these messages that we have to sift through and information overload. And so just, you know, with everything we do at the journalism school, I think it's just trying to communicate how the media influences our lives and how we can be smarter media consumers.
It makes me think. So earlier, when we were talking about like how like there will be a thing that says actor portrayal in the ads. Has this come up in your work with just kind of how advanced AI is getting? Do you think someday it'll say like AI portrayal and maybe it'll be like, I don't know, like a fake person talking?
That's why I've never thought about that, but I bet that is coming. Have you been, so I go on Amazon and now let me back up. We also often trust, you know, peer reviews or, you know, our fellow consumer reviews more so than corporate advertising. And now instead of like seeing reviews, they'll say AI generated reviews. Like they've taken the conglomeration of all of the consumer reviews, and kind of given an AI summary.
I think I've seen that where it's like, it's like AI generated and be like, you know, this product, you know, people say it's comfortable and fluffy and I don't know, pros and cons
I'm waiting for that to come to like ratemyprofessor.com, like AI. But that is a whole, you know, that's another exciting thing about working in this area. It's constantly changing. And once you think you have like your handle on one thing, there's this bigger thing. It's like, oh,
right.
All right.
Well, I think your work is fascinating and super like important in this realm because, again, I just think it's getting better and better, which is scary. But just I think I took this like New York Times test where it was like, can you tell which of these pictures were created by AI versus it's like real photography? And I failed the very first one. It was like a picture of like a woman, and they're like, you know, is this like a real photo or is this AI? And I said it was real. And like, no, it was AI generated. And I was like horrified.
It's wild.
Yeah. And so I just thought with, you know, with eye tracking, like I think early on, you know, people might have like, if you didn't look closely enough, it looked real, but then you looked closer, someone would have like 6 fingers or like it was just slightly off. So I don't know, eye tracking might be able to tell us, like maybe we can tell fake people or not.
That's a great idea, because I think people are becoming more aware, like look at the hands to figure out if it's AI generated. That's a good idea. Now I'm starting to brainstorm.
Yeah, I'll throw all my research. I have lots of ideas. Yeah, but I just was wondering, I just feel like at some point, I just don't know where it's gonna take us. And so I think the work that the journalism school is doing and that you're doing with how we like, you know, receive all this information, like, it's a lot to explore.
It's fun to be a part of it. And I think, I don't know, I think oftentimes a newer technology or a newer platform or newer whatever it is comes out, and sometimes our immediate reaction is to kind of fear it or be like, oh God, you know, thinking about the consequences. But there's also so much opportunity in every change that comes about. And I think it's just, you know, way back when just cell phones were a big thing, it's knowing how to kind of be in charge of that device or that platform rather than letting it be in charge of you.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of navigating that realm.
Yeah, definitely. Very cool. Okay, I'm gonna be thinking about all these like ideas the rest of today, just for the next while.
And then you need to come to the lab and we'll do some research together.
Perfect. And I'll just say, Laura, someone should study this, and I'll just throw all my ideas at you too. So perfect.
Love it.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you another I guess first time question I like to ask our guests. And you know, as a humanities counsel, I like to say there is no right or wrong answer to this question, but it is difficult. So Laura, what do the humanities mean to you?
I feel like the humanities are kind of what breathes life into the human experience. So kind of what brings richness to our day-to-day activities. And when I think of the humanities, I think of art and culture and how we can better understand each other and also ourselves. It's about knowing history, kind of what that game presented to Chloe. Chloe wasn't too tuned in, but I just think it's about coming together and creating some kind of like these beautiful deliverables that really make being human so exciting. kind of a corny answer, but that's what I think of when I think
Yeah. No,
of the humanities.
I always like hearing what people have to say. And I feel like with, the game that we just played, that was kind of getting, someone's, kind of through that game, someone's story. And it was a very like humanities moment, like, okay, like we really felt for them when, certain things happened when their mother passed away, when they had to decide, do I stay up late? Do I go sneak out with my friend? Am I a good person? And like, do I stay in and study or sleep? So super relatable.
And I think having somebody else empathize is a very hard thing to study, B, hard thing to provoke, like to get people to feel that empathy. And that's, that kind of goes hand in hand with biases. And that game really tapped into that, human feeling, and that it made you feel part of what was going on with Benny and Chloe and everything that unfolded in that game.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious now, do you feel like after kind of, seeing this, because you haven't had like a ton of experience with, contemporary video games, but seeing this game that makes use of eye tracking, like could you imagine like, using something or wanting to like write a proposal to like make your own game that uses eye tracking in the future?
100%. That whole entire game, I'm like, what do I do with it? Because there's something here and I just don't know what it is yet, but I know that I'm excited and I plan to brainstorm, because there's definitely something here where we can incorporate kind of like eye tracking that I'm familiar with and this new approach to gaming, and kind of just involving that player in that experience.
Yeah, I think games are great because they can be so immersive. And, like you said with studies, sometimes I don't say like trick people, but it's a way to have them like, get really like into this world without telling them, oh, we're like looking at your eyes at the same time. But you could do that through a game as they get lost in it. So yeah, I'm here for it.
I'm excited about it.
I wonder if you're able to talk about it. Were you doing research or work on, games or, some like a project connected to like the climate? Was it climate change? Can you talk more about that?
Yeah. So there was a team of us, and we were just trying to figure out how to get, maybe communities who aren't necessarily as exposed to poor air quality or living conditions where you're more at risk for sustaining certain different health issues, and we took different versions with the project, but one aspect was, making people aware of what to do when there is poor air quality, and how do we kind of motivate that health behavior, that protective and preemptive health behavior. And another part of that was trying to drive some empathy into people who, again, are perhaps more privileged or, more able to protect themselves than others, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think, again, sort of coming from the Midwest, and I went to school for a little bit on the East Coast. It wasn't until I moved to Nevada and then also visited friends up in Washington State that I experienced like my first like wildfires and like smoky air coming through, and that really opened my eyes. Like, yeah, it's serious. Like it impacts you. I remember like Zoom meetings I had where my coworker said, well, it's it's a really smoky day outside and we can feel it coming into our house, and we have like the air filter going on.
Yeah. I had it really, again, I had never given it a second thought until I moved to Reno, Nevada. And now I'm just like, wow, this is troubling.
Yeah. Did I ask, I think we talked about like, so you're interested in sort of like gamifying this or getting people like immersed in like these like decisions or these experiences?
Yeah, I think the more we can kind of tangibly understand something through maybe immersive gaming, the more we become open-minded about understanding how it affects other people. But again, that's when I call in the experts, such as you and the other scholars that I work with that know gaming a little bit more. But it just seems like there's an added element of involvement that could really, hopefully, spark some empathy, motivation, behavioral changes, perhaps.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great way to do it. I mean, just media in general, I think, books and movies, things we read, things we listen to, when we step into other people's lives through, the pages or the screen. I think there is that ability to really think, oh, okay, like, oh my gosh, like this is what it's like, or, I didn't realize I would cry after, playing this game or after watching this film, but, here we are. A few weeks ago, we had on this program a professor who she taught a course on video games as literature, and her students made games afterwards. And we played through a couple of them on stream, and it was really fun. But, one of them, it was really like, I don't think anyone expected this like depth of emotion, because it was just, it was very basic. It was like, like little like stick figure people moving across a screen, but it was depicting the experience of what it's like to live as, the child of people who can't really speak English as well. I'm like, oh, like I don't want to translate for my parents again, for the teacher, or, stepping into this dream world where, their brother, bullies them, but then they see, and he's in front of the classroom and other students are making fun of him for not being able to, speak English. So it's just like, oh my gosh, like we're just like transported to this, and we really felt for these narratives. So I think games are really powerful in that way.
I think sometimes also we enter into conversations with either emotional barriers or just like a reluctance to even tap into a certain type of conversation. And that's where I feel like gaming really kind of takes down those barriers and just, I don't really know the words to use, but just lets, a situation unfold where, again, you can kind of tangibly get involved in that setting or situation or conversation. That's a little bit more harder to avoid than just kind of talking to somebody about.
I guess kind of related to this, could you talk more about the virtual reality projects? Because, again, in this game, I kind of mentioned, like, it kind of reminds me of, I've done a few virtual reality games. I don't own a setup, but I've experienced them at, like, other places. Kind of the way that you move around and the kind of graphics that we saw, they're, like, very reminiscent of virtual reality. And I'm wondering, in your own work, like, where that comes into play.
So the project with the med school, we use those eye tracking embedded virtual reality glasses, and we worked with computer engineering to develop kind of these, why can't I think of the word? Avatars that were either, the doctor or the nurse, and there was a setting of the actual patient room. And again, using the eye tracking technology to see where they were looking and what they were doing. And in this project that we kind of came together and worked on with a bunch of different scholars from a bunch of different departments, we wanted to kind of create a different VR experience of different areas across Nevada, which may be more prone to wildfires, and that they need to be kind of more aware of the AQI. And kind of just, there were a lot of different versions of what we proposed. So I'm trying to figure out what the most recent was, but being able to kind of put people in different situations, in different places with different capabilities or different barriers, and figuring out how they might navigate different scenarios presented to them.
That's really fascinating. Yeah, I like that you're using virtual reality in that world to really make it more immersive and to better study those effects.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question for our audience. As we're kind of coming to the end of our time here with Laura, sort of, time flies, I can't believe we're almost done. But if you have any last questions, comments you want to share with her, feel free to put them in the chat. We have a few minutes left. In the chat, Silver says, this comment, I see the emotional part of gaming as a blank canvas. We may have personal bias towards different people, but a game is more like a blank canvas that we can project our own feelings/experiences on depending on the situation. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I think it's so, I really love how your work, intersects with these issues of, media literacy and implicit bias and how we experience the world, whether or not we're conscious of it or not. I think that's just super cool that you're tackling all these different things.
Well, I think it's super cool what kind of this whole program is bringing to the table. And I was so excited to, I mean, I would have had no idea about this game and the conversations that you are able to have with different people and bring to the community is just so nice and such a great thing.
Well, I know now, okay, I'm going to introduce you to Mike Branch at some point. I'll check out that restaurant in Reno, look for geocaching, visit your lab when I'm in Reno next time. I'm sure there's a million other things to do. But yeah, thank you again, so much for joining us on our program. I guess the last question I'm going to ask you, a really fun, we're foodie. We're also foodies on this program. What's your favorite food, Laura?
Oh, that's easy. Can you still hear me? One of my earbuds just died.
Yes.
It is elote. So if anybody knows where to get good elote, let me know.
In Reno, yeah.
Yes.
Elote is great. What about when you're in South Carolina? I'm curious, or the other states that you live in.
I love Hush Puppies, which is very Southern. I love fried green tomatoes. What else? I don't eat much meat, so I'm a little bit of a boring foodie, but
no,
I like to eat. So
yeah, I love to eat too. So okay, I'm gonna think about elote as well. Yeah. So thank you again so much, Laura, for joining us today. Again, this program was made possible with funding from the National Endowment for the Humanities and the United We Stand Connecting Through Culture National Initiative. So just as a heads up, we're going to be back a week from today on Tuesday, January 20th, 12 to 2 p.m. Pacific. You're welcome to attend this, Laura, and all of our future streams if you're able to. People will listen to this in the background too while they work, which is fun. But we're going to be back next Tuesday, same time, with another United We Stand stream. And this is going to be with historian Meredith Oda, also from the University of Nevada, Reno. And so this stream, we're going to be discussing the Day of Remembrance. And this is, for those of you who don't know, the Day of Remembrance is the anniversary of the signing of Executive Order 9066. This was signed on February 19th, 1942. And more than 120,000 Japanese Americans were forced from their homes during World War II. And so we're going to be playing this game called Prisoner in My Homeland. It's an educational game that was designed, I believe, for middle schoolers or high schoolers, another first for this program. And so Meredith and I are going to talk about the game's historical context and narrative, and then talk about the Day of Remembrance in this period in American history after that. And also, she's just a really lovely person to know if you don't already know her. Definitely check out her work. I'm excited to stream with her. And again, don't forget, if you've missed past programs, you can check them out on our YouTube channel. So after a week, we'll put this recording up. Laura, I'll share it with you if you want to share it with anyone else. I put a survey in our chat, but yeah, otherwise you can always follow us on our social media for Nevada Humanities. We have a newsletter. You can follow us on our Twitch to get notifications with whenever we're live next. But otherwise, I had just such a blast with you today. It was really fun getting to learn more about you, as a person, and you as a researcher. And I might have to finish this game again on my own, or do like another playthrough, because I want to know how it ends.
Like I said, that's what I'm going to be doing today. And next Tuesday, I will definitely be on the stream. This is so much fun.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you again, Laura, and take care, everyone. We'll see you next time. See you then.